My brothers and sisters, what an incredible chapter that we find ourselves with this week. A chapter full of heartache, emotion, and so much suffering. However, there is still hope. No matter how hard things get, there is still a way out. And this week, I have to say, we may have lost a brother, however, we have gained another. My God, we might be in for some of the most glorious series of chapters since this Shinjuku fight began. There is an absolute ton to cover today, so let's break it all down in this legendary chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen. Today's chapter really is more like Brother Kaisen. At the very start of the chapter begins with a flashback, and if you're familiar with the kind of pacing that Gege has, then that already tells you that this is not a good sign. However, Yuji, Choso, and Kamo all discuss blood manipulation as a curse technique, and Choso and Kamo try to teach Yuji about their shared power. It is very interesting that all three of them are here together because all of them have some type of estranged connection between them because of Kenjaku. Kenjaku took over Kamo's great-grandfather, Noritoshi Kamo, and that same Noritoshi messed around with Choso's mother, creating the death painting curse wombs. And by extension, Kenjaku also mixed his blood in that affair, so Yuji is also Choso's brother since Kenjaku screwed around with Yuji's dad, aka Sukuna's incarnated twin. And oddly enough, Yuji and Choso are like the current Kamo's uncle/cousin. So all three of them can use blood manipulation. Gege really just like to make things as messed up and as complicated as humanly possible. So since Yuji can use this power now, Kamo and Choso will teach Yuji all the tips and tricks. It's also revealed because of Wee Wee's body swap, Yuji not only swapped with Kusakabe, but he also swapped with Yuta Okotsu. So how hype is that? We have yet to see what he has gained from Yuta. However, he may have the power of two MCs manifested in him, which is a crazy thought. It's only a good sign considering how powerful Yuta actually is. Throughout the 1-month training period, Yuji has to learn blood manipulation on his own because this is a skill that stems from his body and not through the body switch cheating. The first lesson is convergence, the hypercompression required for high-level techniques like piercing blood. Kamo tells Yuji to imagine his body heating in a bath or to see the blood vessels spreading across his body's shape. Since Yuji would have to compress blood as well, he could practice with sensations like putting objects like sponges, clay, or cans between his palms. It's clear now Kamo is a much more practical teacher, as Choso has no clue how to explain anything to Yuji, and even when Choso insists on teaching Supernova to Yuji, that technique is way too advanced, and Choso is much more instinctual as a teacher, yet Yuji is more superficial, so Yuji needs the basics. In the next page, we actually get Sukuna's furnace explained a bit more. Only after Sukuna has fulfilled the cooking preparations with dismantle and cleave can the door to furnace be opened. So Sukuna really is like a malevolent chef. First he cuts, then he cooks. It seems the flames of furnace don't have any speed compared to the actual firepower of the curse technique. On top of this, its effective range is small. So guess what? Since this power is limited, Sukuna used another binding vow to compensate. Sukuna forbids himself from using furnace on multiple opponents except within a domain expansion like is the case now. With this specific vow, all the matter that turned into dust from the domain expansion are bathed in explosive cursed energy just like a furnace. Sukuna alters his barrier so it limits the entry and exit of everything except living things. So now its range is set and Malevolent Shrine has 0 drop in output. As this explosion from furnace is about to occur, Uraume corrects Hikari saying that this is our win, as their master Sukuna is literally about to cook the cast. However, regarding the furnace curse technique, think about it this way. The dust created from the destruction is now coated in explosive cursed energy. The translations regard this as a thermobaric explosion, so when Sukuna activates this heat in the middle of the domain expansion, it causes a chain of detonations, instantaneous heat, shockwaves, decompression, and super high pressure being released that just kills any living creature within its range. That is the ultimate secret skill of Sukuna that killed Mahoraga in one shot. Sukuna did not use this curse technique against Gojo because they kept changing the conditions of their barrier techniques, and many times Sukuna shrunk his effective range down. So as a result, he could not use Furnace because it would not be powerful enough under those conditions. Even outside of a domain, we know Sukuna can use the fire, however it would still be too weak considering the explosion would not be as large as in a domain, and the flames would not touch Gojo anyway. It's more like the fire ignites and the environment combusts in a high pressure explosion of fire. The actual anime does a good job highlighting that in Shibuya. In the following segment, the furnace has erupted, and within the domain, the fiery explosion is cooking everything inside. However, Choso set out to protect his brother Yuji, and he made a kind of barrier to shield Yuji from the fire and the explosion. Though, unfortunately, Choso didn't make it. Even Yuji just wondered why Choso did it, however that's just what big brothers do, they protect their own. Then finally we enter a kind of afterlife scene. This is the same realm Choso was in when he imagined his life with Yuji, Iso, Kechizo, along with the rest of their brothers at a picnic table. That is where his relationship with Yuji realized, and now this is where his life comes to an end. Choso compliments Yuji's skill at using reverse curse technique, even though Yuji says his skills are only possible thanks to Sukuna and not his own talent. However, the younger brother still is supposed to surpass the older, and now that's just what Yuji has been doing with his power. Yuki Tsukumo was the one who reached Choso's heart and entrusted him to live as a human despite Choso's mistakes that he had in his life. And he told Choso that if he dies, Yuji will be all alone again. And that's why Choso said that he needed to apologize to Yuki. Even now, Choso says sorry that he's going to leave Yuji all alone again. Yet Yuji mentions that Choso was still there for him when Yuji was at his worst, and that's enough. Then we see the echo of the death painting soul calling out to their brother Choso, and even though it's cold, Choso is there for them. And Choso thinks back and realizes all those 150 years of being together amounted to just a few days for Yuji. That connection and that bond that they shared surpassed both death and time, and oddly enough, there really is something beautiful about that. Choso's body then burns away as he says his final goodbye, thanking Yuji just for being his little brother. And in kind, Yuji thanks Choso in return for the sacrifice that his big brother made. And that is heart-wrenching. Choso is really gone, and all he wanted to do in his life was to make sure his little brother was alright. Gege for sure made one of the most caring and beloved characters for Yuji, and it's thanks to Choso and his brothers that Yuji has made it here and now. So now that Choso is gone, Yuji is left alone all over again. The battlefield has turned into a wasteland from the burning furnace, and Yuji is left wondering, where is everyone else? Just the thought that not only Choso, but Ino, Maki, Kusakabe, and Miwa being burned away is just too much. He's all alone again. Yuji was supposed to be a cog that kept going no matter what happened, to get revenge for the death of his elder brother, but when he saw everything burned away in a fiery heat, it shook his very resolve. Finally, Sukuna emerged from the smoldering earth, and by all means, there was absolutely no hope left. However, just when things seemed grim, our brother, the legendary Aoi Todo, steps on the battlefield of Shinjuku. Yes, Todo is back into the story, and in a flashback, it's revealed that he plays a vital role. Using Boogie Woogie, they can switch Meimei's crows with the people inside of Sukuna's domain. Malevolent Shrine is a domain of instant death. However, at least with Boogie Woogie, the chances of survival increase. In the state that Todo is currently in with the injured arm and now the increased range that the Boogie Woogie has to contend with, even Todo is unsure that he can pull this off. Yet despite what he said about his curse technique being dead, Todo now can hear the beats of Boogie Woogie once again, so he has found a way to use it. Surprisingly, both Meimei and Todo thought it better to leave Yuji out of the loop because Sukuna might still be able to spy and leak their plan, because he shared a soul with Yuji and their connection is still strong because of resonance. Even Akotsu's plan had to be done directly at the last minute. That's pretty insane to comprehend. Sukuna is not only the most powerful, but he also may know the sorcerer's strategies, so keeping Yuji in the know really is like a 530,000 IQ play. So this plan with Mei, Todo's curse technique training with Yuta, Todo's uncertainty about his allies' safety, even his own inability to save Choso and Yuji due to them being at the center of the domain expansion. Right now, there's no way to tell Yuji about all that's happening, about all the intricate little details, so our brother Todo apologizes to Yuji, but he tells him not to worry, because everything is probably okay. And even though it's just a maybe, that's all Yuji can hope for and believe in. Just like in Shibuya, he has to believe in his brother's words. And my brothers and sisters, that is not all. With nothing else to worry about, it's time to lock in and get to work. Our brothers have found their path to victory, and they will use their brother-given duty to Jujutsu jump the ever-living crap out of Sukuna. Because at this very moment, Sukuna is now in a state where it is difficult for him to use his curse technique. Yes, Shrine is out of order, Sukuna's missing 2 arms, his heart is stabbed, cursed energy has been nerfed, output nerfed, RCT nerfed, bro is pulling binding vows just to keep up. Sukuna really is in a tough spot. However, he still keeps smiling. Next week really might be a jumping like we have never seen before. Sukuna has exhausted many of his options. He has nothing more to lose, and now he has to face the relentless might of the brothers Todo and Yuji, who hands down probably have the best synergy in the series. This situation really mirrors Shibuya, and all we can hope for is that this works out between them. Todo's return is something that just feels right. Something straight out of Shibuya. It's fitting right as Yuji was yet again about to lose his determination as a cog. Todo rises from the ashes and gives Yuji the hope to get back up and fight again. Because at this point, what else is there to do except kick Sukuna's ass? And you cannot deny how useful Todo has already been in less than 1/3 of a chapter. He showed up and Todo knew the assignment. Maki, Ino, Kusakabe, and the rest may have been saved because of Todo. And more than anything, Todo did not only give Yuji hope, however, he also gave us, the reader, hope that this is not over yet. So, my brothers and sisters, what do you think about this crazy chapter? Unfortunately, we have lost Choso, yet at the same time, we have gained Aoi Todo. This situation makes me both extremely sad, but at the same time happy that yet again, his brother was there for him at his darkest time. In fact, both brothers, Todo and Choso, looked out for Yuji, and the only regret is that they could not truly work side by side together in the end. So comment what you think may happen. Will Yuji lose another brother to Sukuna? Will Yuji level up his curse technique, a domain expansion maybe? Did Todo come back stronger? And finally, much like Shibuya, will Sukuna find a way to get even stronger somehow? My brothers and sisters, which will prevail? Brother Kaisen or Sukuna Kaisen?